Knives. Some way, shape, or form, as old as time itself. You can do many important things with knives, such as putting butter on bread, opening the mail, or, and I hope it's been at least 15 seconds since I started talking, and as I continue to drag this out for dramatic effect, you can fucking stab the shit out of motherfuckers with knives and kill them. It's cool. Except for this time. Welcome everybody, my name is Fist Truck, and at the beginning of the year I put out a video called The 2023 Plans. So in that video I kind of talk about the videos I wanted to release throughout the year of 2023, the main being a build guide video for each weapon type in Elden Ring. Aside from the 6-month hiatus that I took, I also have not been properly sticking to those plans. In some way, shape, or form, but I'm going to get into that a little bit later. Nonetheless, I'm not going to be doing one about daggers, and I'm going to get into that once again later. And I felt like making a video explaining why, because it kind of gets into what I do when I make these guides, and also how important I find it that if the build isn't a total stupid shit meme, that the things I recommend to you guys are things that I like doing myself. And just in case there happens to be at least one person amongst all of you lovely people that was looking forward to me doing a dagger video, I am sorry. So without further ado, once again, my name is Fist Truck, and today I'm going to show you how to not dagger in Elden Ring and why I fucking hate them. And now after complaining, please hit the subscribe button. And also please check out my second channel, Fist Truck TV, for Let's Play type stuff. Thank you again. So first, let's start off with a little bit of a disclaimer. And I know I'm about to say a bunch of shit that I just said, but please just bear with me. So in the first video I put out in the year, I stated that I wanted to make a video for each weapon type, which so far has resulted in videos about greatswords, halberds, katanas, spears, and colossal weapons / swords. As time has gone on, aside from the whole not putting out videos for 6 months thing, which once again I'm telling you I didn't plan, some weapon types are incredibly similar to others, such as great swords and great hammers, so making a video for each of them feels kind of redundant. Hence why there's no how to great hammer in Elden Ring, because the how to great sword one covers all the points. Nonetheless, daggers are kind of their own beast, and after having taken a crack at it multiple times, I think about 4 or 5, I've also discovered that if I don't find a build fun, there's no way I'm gonna tell you to try it out unless it's a stupid fucking meme build, which an example of that being like how to Metroid Prime or how to America in Elden Ring. So I'm going to go over 2 builds that I tried out and all the reasons that got me to throw in the towel for those builds, and then get into the fundamental problems that I think daggers have. This next bit's very important. Just because I didn't make something out of it doesn't mean that you can't, and as always, I highly encourage you to go for it, and please succeed where I failed. And for what it's worth, I think the builds work, but I just didn't find them fun. Build number 1, the Walmart generic bland as fuck bleed build, because what else are you gonna do with dag? Weapons are the great knife and the Reduvia, and the 2 talismans I got are the blue dancer charm and the winged sword insignia. Just keep in mind that for a lot of builds I do, particularly these, I'm keeping a fresh character in mind because I do a whole playthrough with them. And I think for a good amount of a fresh playthrough, you spend a lot of time with 2 talisman slots. In this particular instance, you can only get 1 Reduvia per playthrough, unless someone trades them to you, but come on, we're not going to really bet on that. So what are my problems with this build? First, if the title didn't hint you in on this, it's yet another bleed build, which if I'm going to do that, I might as well just use katanas or something else like that. Also, I want to make it very clear that I understand this is a very, very personal thing, but always resorting to bleed builds feels like ordering chicken tenders from every fucking restaurant you go to. Like, yeah, it works, but goddamn is it boring. Lastly, you miss like more than half of the hits when dual wielding daggers, so despite swinging really quickly, it's like you're trying to swat at bees. I swear it's worse than punching, because at least punching has an effective jumping attack, and also the gloves weigh less. Build number 2, the I got really sick and bored with the bleed build, and I also got really sick of missing all the time with said build, so I tried doing a parry backstab build. Weapon, the Misericorde, and I'm pretty sure I'm fucking up that one pretty hard, at least in terms of its pronunciation. The buckler shield, the winged sword insignia, and the dagger talisman. Now I know I'm being slightly hypocritical by saying the dagger talisman because that one takes a really long time to get, but it's really, really important for this build since it's a whole crit build, and either way, just bear with me because this one sucks too. My problems with it are that somehow, even after having all this much extra crit damage, crits still suck massive ass with this thing. And then to add on to that, you have all the bosses or the enemies that you can't even crit, so you just stagger them, and then all you can do is the charge R2, which, like, at that point, I might as well just try killing with my fucking thoughts and prayers. Otherwise, I did at least enjoy this one more than the bleed one, because the moment-to-moment gameplay was a bit more engaging since I had to nail parries, and swinging with 1 dagger actually misses less often than swinging with 2, so it feels like I hit more. So, I hope that after hearing me go over those builds, you can probably find out what the mechanical problems with them are, but with that being said, I'm still going to go into them right now. So first, due to their lack of range, missing is going to be a thing that happens all the goddamn time. Now, this isn't a Dagger exclusive problem. For Christ's sake, the back of this channel is built on a fucking punching video, and I still find punching stuff to be rather fun. So to be fair, it's been a problem with FromSoft games since Demon Souls, so the lock-on kind of screwing with you when it comes to short-range weapons is nothing new. But after having done 2 playthroughs with Fist, I can easily say daggers are the fucking worst. The jumping attack misses half the time, and when you're trying to wail on a boss, a shit ton of the attacks just miss. When dual-wielding specifically, for what seems like no reason, though I know it has to do with hitbox and the way the lock-on makes your character point. But it feels especially stupid considering that repeatedly swinging a single dagger instead of 2 just hits more consistently and probably more often. This makes trying to get a status effect, such as bleed, to go off way less consistent than it would be on pretty much any other weapon in the game. I think anytime I hear people talk about daggers, it's about the fucking Reduvia, and yeah, you can use 2 Reduvias on New Game Plus and it makes things bleed all the time. And the reason why it works is because you could throw the bleed at them with it. And the only reason why that's worth doing is because the weapon itself misses half of the fucking time. That also brings me to the next major problem. Daggers don't do anything special or good enough that another weapon type doesn't do better. Trying to take advantage of the winged sword insignia, punching hits more often. Want things to bleed and to consistently proc status effects? Just use katanas, or to be honest, practically any other weapon type. Trying to take advantage of higher crit damage through backstabs and parries? Just use a rapier with its fat 130 crit. My bad, I think that one sounded kind of nasty. I think the only purpose that these serve is that they tend to have very low stat requirements, so maybe they can help supplement caster type classes who might want to have something that they can use to quickly shake a bitch. But even then, the dagger is not the point of those builds, and that is what I am looking for. I'm trying to have something that is the focal point of a build and that I don't need 1 million other things to make it worth using. I feel like each weapon type at least has one thing to it that makes it worth using. Like great swords and great hammers, as I previously stated, are pretty much the same. But great swords tend to be more flexible with their stat requirements, while great hammers tend to have better stagger potential, just being an example of it. Yo, even the whips have the benefits of being immune to parries and having really good range, even though you can't crit with them. The amount of time they take to swing is kind of stupid, unless they patch that. Even then, for daggers, having low stat requirements can easily fall by the wayside when there are weapons of other types that also have low stat requirements, while also kicking more ass. Lastly, and I want to especially emphasize that this is very important, because I know I'm talking a lot about the damage that the weapon does, or whatever sort of purpose that it's not fulfilling, but I hope I made it clear in the past, and like with my how to make a build video, is that I don't care about doing the most damage or being the most optimal. I don't use consumables because I just don't think it's very fun. And to be honest, you really don't need it. I have that whole video about trying to tank, and to be honest, trying to tank with fat rolls all the time is like the dumbest fucking thing you could try doing in here. But hey, it was still pretty fun aside from Millennia. So this whole next bit is going to be on some very super duper hippy dippy bullshit, and it's probably gonna be very personal to me, or particular to me. But with that out of the way, I really don't believe that daggers fulfill any sort of fantasy. If you don't quite understand what I mean, just check out my videos on being a caveman, or my sword and shield video that I'm pretty sure everyone's seen before this one. But still, using a big ass club in the case of the caveman video, wearing horns and being bare-chested fulfills the fantasy of being an Unga Bunga caveman that's just bonking the shit out of everything in their path. Using a simple sword and shield in the case of the how-to sword and shield video, while wearing a plain set of knight armor fulfills the fantasy of being a knight, which in this game's case is like pitting the ordinary against the extraordinary, and I think that's pretty cool. The thing is that the gameplay supports those fantasies, but I don't think it supports the fantasy of being a thief or a rogue. Shaking things doesn't quite work out all that well the later you get into the game, since most things survive being backstabbed unless you use a shit ton of consumables and buffs. But at that point, I think it kind of loses the message, and once again, I kind of don't give a shit to do it. You might be able to stealth through a fair amount of sections of the game, and that's cool. Thank goodness they added a crouching function to the game. But when it matters most, stealth kind of doesn't mean shit, and by when it matters most, I mean bosses. You can't use stealth on bosses, they always know where you're at, and any enemy that's big enough can't, understandably, be backstabbed. So in those situations, you're pretty much just left with tickling them as an option, because a lot of big enemies just can't even be parried. Does any of this mean that you can't use them? No, and I'm sure there will be many comments of people saying that they used them, kicked ass, and loved it. Great, I'm happy for you. But for me, I don't find them exciting, and because of that, I cannot make a build guide type video telling you to try out things that I myself didn't enjoy. And I hope that this video makes it clear as to what I look for when coming up with these builds. Yeah, that pretty much means all of my builds are some kind of melee focused thing, but that's how I like to play the game. I think it's the most fun and engaging way to play these games, at least to me, and it's why I've been consistently playing them for 12 years. I hope most everybody can agree with me when I say this, this, but when I play a game, I want to have fun with it. So if it's not fun, why would I tell you to do it? At least to me. Once again, I know. That's why I don't have all that many ranged videos, or I think any at all, unless it's the meme like the how-to Metroid video, because I don't find shooting things from a distance to be all that fun or exciting or engaging for me. Speaking of ranged and casting in this case, shout out to FromSoft making being a melee caster cool as fuck in this game, which I think is going to be the next video, because I at least want to have one how-to actual guide after doing this one where I complain about not doing one. Alright, and that about wraps things up for this one. I'm sure this video, compared to a lot of my videos, will inspire some sort of spicy conversation, because I imagine that a lot of people will disagree with me. But that's totally fine. Anywho, aside from that, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and until next time, don't forget to always wipe before you dagger.